You know, the funny thing about the preseason is you can have a team with a quarterback room that might never lose a game. And then the regular season starts and reality begins to set in. Hey, Dave Loughren here. We are on to the third and final week of preseason football. Hell, after last week, I wish this would keep going for months and months on end. It might be gross football, but we can make money doing it, and that's why we're here. Of course, we'll be back for next season and all of the regular season weeks as well. So make sure, if you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up if you appreciate this content and subscribe to the channel as we head into the regular season, because we're not going anywhere. It's free to do. And of course, leave a comment down below. Let me know who you think the best plays are on this two-game Thursday slate. And as always, just some housekeeping. All of my plays that you see in this video, all of the plays that you might never see in this video, because I don't do them for Sunday and I won't have them for certain regular season slates and props and all of that, you can find them over at Tails, and I will make them free. They will be free 100% of the time for 100% of the season. Just click that first link in the description. It'll take you over to my page on Tails. Click follow. If you're already over there, you're in. If not, it takes 2 seconds to create a free account. That's it. Sign up with Apple, Google. You don't even need to insert credentials. And then turn on notifications. All of my plays will be there all year. Would love to see you guys over there. Let's sweat some football together and get into week 3 of the preseason. It starts off with the Steelers and the Panthers. The Steelers are laying 4.5 on the road. Now, it's funny because back when there used to be 4 preseason games, the Steelers and Panthers would square off every single year, and it would be the final game of the preseason. They haven't faced each other in the preseason since 2021, and the only reason they did in that week was because the Steelers played the Hall of Fame game and had 4 games. But preseason records against each of these teams are meaningless because the Panthers have had a million different coaches over the stretch of Mike Tomlin's tenure. I want to start with the Panthers, though, because they are in a really unique situation heading into this week 3 preseason game. Why, you might ask? Happy to tell you. And of course, as you guys know, it's just an information game with the preseason. Sometimes it's going to go against us. We had a great Saturday, but a perfect example of that, of me just being wrong. And, you know, I should have, in hindsight, I probably should have thought about this. Nick Sirianni never even played Tanner McKee in that game. Looking back, it makes sense that terrible Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Kyle McCord were out there because McKee was just so good that if you needed to use him as trade bait or whatever, there was no point. I should have seen that. You know, it was unfortunate, but what are you going to do? Plus, we lost that first half spread by the hook, so it's still a loss, but whatever. There's things you're going to get wrong, and a lot of times these coaches they don't tip their hands in a lot of cases. They don't give us much information, and we know that to be the case with several coaches on this slate. But we do know that Bryce Young and the starters aren't expected to play. That's actually kind of easy because Dave Canales said before the preseason even began that they were going to play, multiple series in each of the first 2 weeks and then wouldn't play in the third week. But Andy Dalton is also out of this game, which leaves them with Jack Plummer, who hasn't been good, and now reigning UFL MVP Bryce Perkins, who was formerly with the Rams, played a lot of preseason football with the Rams, looking to make his way back onto an NFL roster. Well, why is this interesting? Because I think the questions are twofold here. First, how much is he actually going to play that he was only signed 2 days ago? I'm recording this on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Second, how vanilla is the play calling actually going to be with him out there, considering he was only signed 2 days ago? Now, I think having Perkins in a preseason game isn't a bad thing at all, especially if the alternative would have been Jack Plummer the whole game. Jack Plummer. It's the plumber. We'll call him the plumber. Don't fault me. I think it's Jack, right? Jack Plummer, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, I believe it's Jack Plummer, but besides the point, Plummer would be out there a lot. It is Jack Plummer. But now, that is a big issue, and we'll come back to that. But as far as the Steelers go, Mike Tomlin isn't going to play Rodgers. He's not going to play Metcalf, Watt, Hayward. He said everyone else, and here's the key word, could play. Now, I don't think they will, because he also noted that a lot of what he plans on doing, and he says things change, a lot of what he plans on doing is based off what the Panthers plan on doing, and we already know that Canales doesn't intend on playing his starters. We already are certain that Bryce Young and Andy Dalton aren't going to play. So that'll most likely leave us with backups and fringe players, plus Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and Logan Woodside at quarterback. Will Howard's not going to play. He's dealing with an injury. So at the end of the day, I actually think the addition of Perkins is enough for me to lean Panthers at +4.5. Do I love this spot? No, and I will never pretend to you guys that I do when I don't. But this is at 4 on Circa, on Pinnacle, on a bunch of sharp books and other rec books. Bet365 is the only book out there right now. I'm telling you, their preseason odds have been super favorable to us. It's where I've done most of my damage in the preseason this year. +4.5 at -110. All the other +4.5s, if there are any, are at -115. So +4.5 at -110 on the Panthers. And of course, as always, if you're not on Bet365 yet, link in the description. You're getting $200 in bonus bets by simply signing up with that link, depositing 10 and placing $5 on whatever you want. $5 bet, win or lose, is going to net you $200 in bonus bets. 21 years or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Game 2, Patriots at the Giants. Giants 6.5-point favorites. This is a weird game for one specific reason. The Giants aren't going to carry 4 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster, which means Tommy DeVito is seemingly, or almost certainly, I should say, the odd man out. Now, in 2024, DeVito played the entire game in week 3. In 2023, he played all but 2 series in that game. But the Giants were only carrying 3 quarterbacks at the time on their preseason roster in both of those years. And giving the near certainty that DeVito doesn't make the roster, does Brian Daboll just opt to go into this game looking at, hey, a QB2 battle between Jackson Dart and Jameis Winston, whoever's going to be the primary backup behind Russell Wilson this year? I could see that being the case. And I think it's entirely possible. The fact that the Giants are -6.5 points would also suggest that that is the case as well. But also, Tommy DeVito is not even that bad. If he goes to the practice squad, right, he's going to get picked up by another team like that. There's no way the Giants will be able to keep him. He's not going to go unclaimed. So that's another issue. Now, Mike Vrabel for the Patriots hasn't tipped his hand yet. But one thing worth noting, this is the only thing I could find, is that he ended Tuesday's practice by having the starters run sprints while the backups went through situational drills. And according to Mike Rice, who's a pretty reputable guy, particularly with the Patriots, right? Very reputable, actually, over the years. It's unusual, according to him, to be pushing starters like that if they're going to play, and something that he hasn't seen very often. Now, Vrabel's a different, breed of coach, but still, Drake May and the starters already played in each of the first 2 games. He had 2 drives in each of them, so 4 drives total. Typically, a coach isn't going to push it through week 3 to get them more opportunities when you've already seen a bunch, and they've had joint practices on top of that. Now, anything's possible, right? You guys make your own decisions here. If you see something I don't, ride it or let us know in the comments. It's always helpful when we do that stuff because it's the preseason and there's a lot of information to take in. But we can only go off of what we know here. And I'll go back to what I said last week about the Giants when we took them at -3 against the Jets and they cleaned up. They have the best quarterback room in the league right now. Here's the important part. For the preseason. You get to the regular season, you're not like, man, that is the most enviable quarterback room in the league. No, but in the preseason, when you have Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, who's looked awesome, Jameis Winston, who we know can sling it and make some mistakes. And then you know what? Even if Tommy DeVito does play, that's far from the worst thing you could have as your 4th quarterback on the roster. So to me, it's just a distinct advantage over other backup quarterbacks. And considering Josh Dobbs, who's looked mediocre at best, and Ben Woldridge are the only other quarterbacks on the Patriots roster behind Drake May, it just makes sense to back the Giants here. Again, it is a weird spot because the Giants, maybe they play DeVito, they showcase him, they try and trade him for like a late round draft pick or something like that before putting him on the practice squad and losing him entirely. I don't know. Either way, this quarterback room is much better going into Friday night, and that's what I have to lean on. I hate laying 6.5 in a preseason game too, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me in this one. If you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments where you go with these games. Give me Giants -6.5, and I'll see you back here for Fridays and then Saturday's games as we wrap up the preseason and head into week 1 on September 4th. Can't wait. See you guys back here for the next one. Remember, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and come hit me up over on Tails. 100% free to do. Bye-bye.